Hello guys, full time in Brighton. Brighton 2, Arsenal 4. 3 massive points for Arsenal, and what a strong position they find themselves in now. 7 points clear at the top of the table. Manchester City drew at home against Everton earlier today. A bit of a freak result really. Everton, on the back foot the majority of that game. Wonder goal saw them equalise, and they held out with some dogged defending. I sort of had to turn away from the scoreline even in that game at times because I was so on edge, so anxious about it. If you ever doubted that Arsenal in a title race, just think how that Man City result made you feel. Newcastle dropping points as well, with the exception of United, getting a couple of late goals or a single late goal, can't remember now, at Wolves. This was a very good day for Arsenal. And with that comes hope, expectation, but also comes a bit of pressure. How would Arsenal handle it? Could they seize the initiative? And just as they've done many times this season, they did with a really excellent win. I know there were some nervy moments in the second half, but to go away from home to any ground in the Premier League is difficult. To go away to Brighton, who are in very good form at the moment, just coming off maybe their best result, best performance under their new manager, 7th in the league, tough place to go. 3 points are very welcome. And to score 4 goals in that situation tells you something about the confidence, the imagination, the clinical play that Arsenal produced in the attacking third. This was a performance where what Arsenal did in attack was better than what they did in defence, and what they did in attack was decisive. And it had to be because we're used to seeing Arsenal go and dominate games, have the majority of the ball, the majority of the territory, the majority of the chances. This was not one of those games. If you look back at the possession stats, Brighton had between 60 and 70% possession, at times more than 70% possession in the game. Arsenal, they had to play a little bit on the break, but when they got opportunities, they were clinical. It started with Bukayo Saka in the first minute. You couldn't have hoped for a better circumstance than Arsenal than to go up after 65 seconds. It fell to Saka. The first touch was immaculate again, just as it was against West Ham, and the finish instinctive, and that put a really good platform for Arsenal to build on. That said, Brighton came back into it well. They showed that under De Zerbi they are a good team. And, they'll feel that they made a good fist of the first half. It's true, Arsenal had their chances, but Brighton fought back. Fortunately, we got 2 brilliantly timed goals, one either side of half-time. I'm just trying to think. The first was Martin Odegaard, who was sensational today. I mean, this was one of his best performances, coming off the back of one of his best performances. There are very few people in the Premier League playing quite as well as Martin Odegaard at this present point in time. He looks like someone who's benefited enormously from the break, the training. He wasn't at the World Cup. He was with Arsenal. He was in Dubai. He was so focused on this second half of the season. And it looks like he's just taking it by the scruff of the neck. Even the first goal came from a driving run from Odegaard early in the move. I just think his technical level, the piece of play he produced to create a chance for Martinelli in the first half was sensational. Okay, his goal, not the cleanest hit, took a nick, but great that he's taking those shots on. He might be Arsenal's joint top goal scorer, I think, with Saka and Martinelli, who also both scored today. Listen, we worried a lot about losing Gabriel Jesus, and I'm sure in the big games we'll feel his absence. But this has been a team all season long where the goals are shared around, and it remains the case. So 2-0 at half-time. Brighton would have, felt a bit down in the dumps, and it got worse for them. 3-0. Eddie Nketiah. Martinelli getting down the left. He was a threat all day. As I said, Arsenal had to play on the break, exploit that space in behind at times. Eddie Nketiah poking home from close range. 2 starts, 2 goals. I think, it's fair to say that he's probably more of a natural goal scorer than Gabriel Jesus. Does he match everything else Jesus brings? No. But does that clinical edge, that sharpness in the box, bring something very useful to this team? It certainly does. And I think the only concern for Eddie is just how much work he's being asked to do. He played the 90 minutes tonight, looked shattered to me after about 70, 75. I think they're trying to get the minutes in his legs, trying to build up his stamina. But he's got a long way to go, and he needs someone to relieve him in those final 20 minutes of games. It's just too much to ask of him, I think, especially from kind of a standing start, having not played a great deal of football in the first half of the season. So then we're at 3-1. Brighton, again, came back into it, had good territory, but then we scored a brilliant counter-attacking goal. Odegaard with a sensational first-time pass for Martinelli. I thought he should have squared it, Saka, but Martinelli fancied a goal for himself, and he got it. Not great goalkeeping, perhaps, but Odegaard's pass, brilliant. Reminiscent of Cesc Fabregas. he is driving this team forward right now. I think he senses the opportunity, and as the captain, he is absolutely producing. Arsenal then made a couple of changes at fullback. Kieran Tierney came on, Tomiyasu came on for White, and Zinchenko, who I thought really showed what he brings to the team today, Zinchenko. And we got a bit ragged at the back. And it wasn't just in those fullback areas. You know, I think when you disrupt the line, there's always a risk that's going to happen. Golden rule, right? Don't change your back four. Arsenal did it. Was it a mistake? Well, in the context of the game, yes, it allowed Brighton in and we looked a bit sloppy back there. But I don't know if you can call it that, because at the end of the day, we gave minutes to Tierney. We gave minutes to Tomiyasu, players we're going to need in the second half of the season. And it didn't ultimately cost us. And when you're 4-1 up, those are the kinds of calculations you're making. Can I take a risk here? Can I bring these guys on, give them some time on the pitch without it costing us the 3 points? Maybe Arteta thought it would make us more solid. It didn't, had the inverse effect. Rob Holding came on later too and ended up poking one into the net, which was thankfully disallowed for offside. Got to talk about Brighton's goals. I mean, the real one is the second one where Saliba makes a terrible mistake. First one's a good goal. Second one's a really dreadful error. And I have to say, he has looked rusty since coming back. I think he's missing competition. He's missing regularity of football. He looks rusty. He looks like the engine needs some oiling. Let's hope he's going to get there sooner rather than later, because it's Newcastle next and they will be a threat, particularly on set pieces, which were tricky tonight with the wind swirling. Had a few challenging situations there. Newcastle very, very good in those dead ball scenarios. We need to be sharp about those on Tuesday night. Anyway, we saw it out. There was a late scare with the VAR that was overturned. Hey-ho. So you get the breaks. The point is, well, the 3 points, let's say, are absolutely crucial. And to go into the new year 7 points clear at the top is fantastic. They flashed up the January fixtures during the Sky coverage, and they are really tough. And so having that cushion, I think, could be pretty precious, especially with the Manchester City fixture in the not too distant future. I'm going to leave it there. There's going to be an Ask Us Extra on Monday. I think there's going to be an episode of Handbrake Off as well. Thanks so much for watching these videos all year long, guys. It is hugely appreciated. It makes it worthwhile doing them. I always read the comments, always check out what you guys say. I hope you've enjoyed 2022. Certainly the last few months have been fantastic from an Arsenal perspective. Who knows what 2023 might hold? 23 is my lucky number. But wishing you, your families, all the very best for the new year. And I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.